What is up, guys? Welcome back, and today I'm talking about the Devil May Cry 5 microtransactions, and also I'm also going to be discussing the multiplayer mode. However, that's going to be near the end of the video, probably the second half. Uh, so, first thing first, the microtransactions. I've seen a whole lot of people blowing up about these microtransactions, and for the life of me, I really don't understand why. Well, technically, I do understand because of the whole Battlefront fiasco, and now they're like, oh shit, now the stuff is really on our radar. And really, that's the only reason why Devil May Cry 5 is getting shit for it. Now, one of my biggest criticisms with people being really upset about the microtransactions in Devil May Cry 5 is the fact that if you were a fan before June 2015, in my opinion, you really don't get to complain. Because June 2015 is when DMC4 Special Edition came out, and this had that. And for some reason, this wasn't an issue back then. So why is it an issue now? And this is where I stand on it, because my stance is, so now you complain. That one of the biggest things that I've seen people say about the DMC5 microtransactions is the fact that that people are comparing it to Shadow of War, where they had loot boxes, and it was the online multiplayer was kind of pay to win. So that was all that was going on there. So one of the things that really gets me about that is, all right, first off, the microtransactions in Shadow of War were loot boxes. So, and this is just, the stuff that allows you to get more moves. That's about all it does. And keep in mind that Devil May Cry is very generous about how much it gives you, because I can go into the Bloody Palace and just get some red orbs, and it's piss easy to do. That's really all there is to it. Like, I barely have to work for them, and this isn't even considering the fact that we have no evidence that DMC5 is going to be tampering with it to drive these microtransactions. And in fact, if we use DMC4 SE as the basis, it points to the opposite. Because I'm not too sure about this, because I didn't play the base version of 4. But from what I hear, they did not tamper with the rate that you earn red orbs or proud souls in DMC4. And I also hear that they might have actually increased the rates, but I'm not too sure about that. But all I do know is that if we're using DMC4 SE as a basis, there's no reason to be concerned about this at all. But really, this does have to come. This does have to wait until release day, and we'll find out whether or not progression feels artificially slow compared to the past games. And I've also seen I've also seen Angry Joe talk about this, like talking about the move pricing and all that stuff, like the cool shit's going to be more expensive and all that stuff. And my only response is, so basically that's what DMC5 is doing what the rest of the games have done, where the easier and more practical stuff are cheap, and the ones that are more useful, they are more expensive. That's how it worked in the past. So don't try to tell me otherwise. So guys, that is my thoughts on the DMC5 microtransactions. So far, I don't have any reason to suspect that they are doing anything. In all honesty, I think what it just comes down to is the publisher, Capcom, is just saying, hey, we want to we just want to get some extra money off some guys that are willing to pay, so just throw this in there. That's what I think is happening. I don't think it's going to be any pay-to-win stuff. I don't think that they're going to artificially slow anything. Because I don't have any reason to suspect that they do. So now on to one of the interesting things that I found out is there's supposedly a multiplayer mode. Now I'm going to link the IGN article that discusses both of these. Now I briefly passed over this, and I don't really remember it, but we don't know what exactly it's going to be. If it's going to be like a multiplayer co-op Bloody Palace, which that would be really cool. And really chaotic, might I add, because there's 3 playable characters, that being Nero, Dante, and V. And I gotta say, V looks interesting, but we don't have any gameplay of him yet. Get on that, Capcom, please. I wanna see what V's all about. Another idea that I've seen passed around is just the story mode, but with 2 players, stuff like that. It's the same thing, but just same thing as the Bloody Palace, but just story mode. But interestingly, I've seen like ideas of a versus mode, and that would be a really interesting thing. And interestingly enough, that would actually give some credibility to the pay-to-win criticism. Now, aside from that, we don't really have any information on it. Though I can't remember where I found this. It was some kind of YouTube video. It might have been like Maximilian, I think. Somewhere I found someone talking about the multiplayer mode, and they mentioned network players being 2 or 3 players online. 3 players being the interesting thing, because there are 3 playable characters, so it does kind of make me think that it is going to be like a... It does make me wonder if it is just going to be a co-op Bloody Palace, which, keep in mind, I'll be happy with that. But aside from that, I'm still interested in DMC5, and I really do get the feeling that people are overreacting on the microtransactions. However, we are going to have to wait and see if something does happen. And if it does, then I will, I'll be one of the first. If it does come out that Capcom did fuck with the progression rates, the red orb drops, then I'll probably be one of the first people to say, Capcom, you fucked up. However, as of right now, we really don't have any reason to suspect that. Not yet, anyway. So, if you agree, disagree, let me know. I do kind of want to start some actual discussions here, and that's kind of the point of what I'm trying to do on the channel. So, please leave your opinion. Do you think that this is all valid? Everyone's concerns are valid? Or do you think that it's all just way out of hand? Or is it maybe even somewhere in between? Or do you just genuinely not give a shit? So please tell me.